Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Hey, welcome to this episode of Money Mondays of the No Closure Show. Hope you all had a great weekend. Good to see you guys live on there. Hey, Thomas. Hey, Dale. Hope everybody was doing well. John's going to join us. Probably Cal in a little second here. But today on the Money Monday, we want to talk about some of the tapes that we uploaded a little bit into our base camp group for our WCN crew members. And excited about it. We're starting to see some more different tapes come across that you guys can cherry pick from. Like last week, we uploaded 636 non-performing EBOs that can be cherry picked. Hopefully, we'll have an answer back on those bids today, along with another like 56, 57. Oh, actually, just 58 more EBOs and 57 were delinquent that could be cherry picked. That was posted in on Friday. We got this list in of 88 reverse mortgages that we'll be doing a breakdown here and going through a few of them here in a few minutes. And then also upload a list from one of the listing websites out there for you to take a look as well too. And we actually looked at a deal on there. Excuse me. Looked at a performing note on there, and it would be like a 13 to 16 yield, depending on the numbers. The numbers were off. The whole information was off. So this was uploaded 2 weeks ago. When you look back at it, it's been up there for 5 months. So we did a breakdown why that performing note is a dud, actually. Just so confusing in a variety of fashions. So we went through that. That actually gets released today. I think the live stream goes live tonight about that deal, and the episode went live at 3 a.m. on the audio side of wherever you get your podcast. But anyway, guys, let's dive into this tape. It was stuff that we can be cherry picked. What's great about this is, as I mapped it here, let me go over and pull up the map, is that it's got a lot of stuff in Virginia. It's got a lot of stuff here in Texas, some stuff in California. It's got some one-off stuff up in Minnesota, other areas as well, a couple in Arizona. And so I thought it was pretty desirable. I've already reached out to the seller to find out kind of what bidding they're looking for, what kind of price point they're looking for. It's not my usual seller of these, which is nice. So it's a different source. And what's great too is that we can cherry pick it, like I said. But I submit offers on a bunch of them to get an idea pricing wise. Hopefully, they'll get back to me today with what they're looking for, so that I can then pass that back on to you if it makes sense. Now, of course, they are willing to share the internal inspection reports, the BPOs, and then any title updates on this, but they've not started the foreclosure process. So you have to expect to buy the debt, take over the servicing on it. I would just leave it with their existing servicing company. They haven't answered back on that question yet. And then go through the foreclosure process. And with reverse mortgages, these are high equity, convertible mortgages, basically, where no payments have been made. They're with elderly folks. And most of these, well, actually, all of them should be just about vacant for the most part. But you're going to have to foreclose. And there's usually not a lot of family there to go to fight you on these things. And, these have a mixed bag of some with equity, some with no equity. And so I thought we would dive into the tape a little bit, kind of walk you through some of the things and go from there. But if you're in the WCN crew, you've already received this tape in our monthly membership. And so I encourage you to ask questions. I'm going to share the spreadsheet here. I'm going to pull it up online, but I'm going to actually hide the addresses so that you guys can't see that if you're just joining us in the line here. I don't want to get anybody upset. So I'm going to be going through a sanitized list, but the map that we see here in front of you is the actual map of it mapped on BaxGeo. There's some stuff, like I said, I'm pretty excited about it. Like I said, I literally made offers already on all the Texas stuff on Friday, one on the Florida one, and then a few other in the Arizona, and there was another one I made an offer. I can't remember. This one down in Florida is in West Palm Beach. It's not a bad looking little property. We can take a look at that. But let's go to the numbers. Shall we go to the spreadsheet and kind of walk you guys through that? Or those that are online here, if you'd like for me to go through a specific individual asset that you had your eye on, I'm glad to do that as well. So I want to cater to the folks that are live here in Zoom with us for you guys to be able to have your questions answered, because you guys have showed up. And so that's what I want to do, is reward you for showing up. So Dale asked a question. I'd be curious to hear desired or expected bidding on the negative equity loans where the legal balance is over the BPO. I totally agree to that, and I asked that question. they're looking for, especially as the foreclosures aren't started on. It's also that will vary state by state, right? Is there a specific state that you had in mind, Dale? Are you looking at the Minnesota one, or are you thinking more of something somewhere else that's got a faster foreclosure process and no redemption period? Mine is they'll release the interior inspection reports. Um, if your bid's accepted, then they'll release that, and then you can pay that bar down part of due diligence. Because no, Minnesota's positive equity. Okay, just curious. So where they're upside down, yeah, I'd totally be interested to see what it is. In the fast foreclosure states like Texas, if they owe more than the property's worth, you're going to probably see. I would expect somewhere around 70%. That's what I would see, provided it's in pretty good condition. If you can get it at 60, 65, great, but I won't know till I get my answers back on that. Okay. But that's the thing. You've got to bid it based on what it would take to foreclose on that stuff. Now, Thomas asked a question. Can you go over Illinois one? Are there any hidden servicing fees? No, I don't. Hidden servicing fees. No, you're going to be basically paying for a non-performing note at a servicing company and then going through the foreclosure process. So whatever state it's in is going to really dictate the kind of the foreclosure process. Now, Fannie and Freddie often have specific dictated foreclosure costs, and that's what you have to base this off on, because these are usually a Fannie Freddie loan. With the so you're gonna have to keep it with that servicing company or get you a new servicing company that handles reverse mortgages. It wouldn't be like an Allied or Madison because they're not licensed to do that. So you're gonna spend your, I would say normal 3 to 5 if it's a judicial, non-judicial state, and probably $5,000 or more if it's a non-judicial state. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. 3 to 5. What was I going to say? 3 to 5K for a non-judicial state, and probably $5,000 or more in a judicial state. So these are not the HUD heckums. No, they are the HUD heckums there for you, but you still got to go through the foreclosure process. That's the thing, Dale. You still got to go through that regular foreclosure process, and go through that aspect. That's why I like the Texas. The Virginia ones actually look pretty nice because Virginia is also a faster foreclosure state for you. Okay, so if we go on the Illinois one. This one is up in northern Illinois. So what you're talking about in McHenry, Illinois. Okay. Let's just see what it looks like. Let me drag it. All right. So we look back at it, flip it around here. So this is the property in Illinois, McHenry, Illinois. Okay. And this picture, let's see, when is this picture taken? Let's go flip over to Google Maps. This is from July of last year. So it's about a year and 3 months, so 15 months old. And I can't tell if this covered carport. No, I think it's this driveway right here would make more sense. Yeah. So, yeah. So this one you can see is what your property looks like. Okay. Now, let's go to the spreadsheet and take a look at that. Okay. All right. So we look at the Illinois. Let's just go ahead and narrow it down here and make it simple for everybody. All right. So, can you see my screen now? I want to make sure you can see my screen. I think you can. Yep, you can. Okay, good. All right. So this one, as of date, so this tape was pulled May 31st. There's a FHA case number on it. The unpaid legal balance is 234. 231 is the UPB. I added the percentage of BP, so they owe more than the property's worth 102%. Okay. With late fees, everything like that. Okay. Servicing fee, what's this? Servicing fee, they say put 5820. Service advance amount 3,700 is probably for taxes. Date of default was April. With a lot of these, that's when the actual bar passed away. Okay. Is April 7th, 2022. Okay. Date vacancy began was 12/11. That's when the borrower got out. Date and custodial care. So they have a third-party custodian going in through and basically winterizing the property, making sure it's, not damaged. So let's go here. All right, if we go over here, then so they give it a value of 226. Okay, so 226 Now, Illinois, you're going to have a little longer foreclosure process. Okay. You're going to have to, it's probably going to be a little bit more than that 5 grand on there they've already done. But, well, it's not going to be bad as Crook County and Cook there's for you. So you figure that if you bid this at 70, because they owe more than the property's worth. So the BV value is 226 is what they say as it is. So 226 times 0.7. That's 158. That's provided that it's doesn't need any work. I would be willing to bet this property needs some work based on the current photos we can create. At least paint and carpet on the inside and some landscaping and stuff. So that's something I keep in mind. Now, yeah, I don't know days in market. You're going to need to check that. All right. What they say it's 61. It's 2 to 4 months to sell in that market. And this is they pull. They include that information for all of the assets. So it's basically at that number, it's a stable neighborhood average, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, built in 1949. Now, you're want to double check your taxes because I think that's probably one of the advance fees is probably some of that servicing advances taxes as well. Okay. Yeah, 5820. There's a mortgage insurance premium of 13.8 that would go to the lender. So unpaid balance is 109. The interest is the 101. And so you have all these costs here that are already been accumulated to get to the legal balance there. So yeah, 231. I mean, if you pick it up at 158, I mean, it's not a bad deal at being at 220. It just depends on what kind of interior condition report. So that's where I would start my bidding on that one if you're interested about that one. It's bidded at 70 cents on the dollar. Let's see what they say. And then you can always fade it back or fade it down depending on how extreme the inside is. I don't think you're going to be able to get this at 50 cents on the dollar just because if it's in good condition, that's probably what they're looking for. But based on what I kind of got to feel, now they could come back and be willing to go at 50 cents on the dollar if it's trashed out, if it needs some work. That's a different thing to drop in that value down. But it all is, that's based currently on their as-is condition reports based on their as-is value. You know what I'm saying? No, you're not going to bid. Okay, the UPB, Thomas, that's one thing you got to realize. UPB is one number. Bidding at 70 cents on the dollar, 109, you're not going to get this. Okay. When the when the legal balance is equal to the actual value, and this is a little bit more, 102%, you can going bidding at 70 cents on the dollar of the 109 isn't going to make any sense. There's no, somebody will outbid you on that 100% of the time. Okay. So when the value, okay, when the value is there and the balance is there, legal balance is there is equal to it, then really it's, 60, 65, 70 cents on the dollar. They may want more too. I don't know exactly what they have bid on, what they bought these at. Okay, but bidding at 109, no, I would not bid based off of that. You will lose this 100% of the time. I mean, a lot of these have really low UPBs, but you have to realize the bank advanced, original lender advanced this interest and stuff like that for a reverse mortgage. Do you understand how reverse mortgage works? If you don't, it's okay. Just say, no, I don't, and I'll tell you how it is. Okay? I'll tell you how these work. The reverse mortgage isn't a traditional mortgage. I mean, what happens with a reverse mortgage is somebody's lived in the property and they can see, let's just talk about this. So what they usually what they do is the unpaid principal balance, they probably owed 109 back in the day. Okay? They owed 109. And then what happens, it's based on having equity. It's not credit based, it's solely based on equity in the age of the borrower. So they basically take that equity of the property and what do they call it? Annuitize it to not require the borrower to make any mortgage payments because they're 65 or greater. I think they've got to pay the taxes and the insurance on it. Okay. So what they do is they give that equity either A to the borrower in a lump sum and they don't have to make any payments going forward, or they give them some lump sum and then they pay them a monthly payment off of that. That's where you get the whole legal balance at 231. Okay. And that's why you need a bid off the 230 or the 234 as being, and then the value of the property. And this is what do I say? It was 220, 260, 230. Okay. And you can see that all selected comparables are located within 1 mile from the subject and are the best that current market can offer at the moment. design condition, age. All right. And that's what you have to look at. And they give you the sold comp address. I forgot about that there. But what you have to realize, like I said, if you go bid on a low balance, they're not going to accept you. Now, there's no reason for an exception. Now, when some of these have a lot of equity, right? Let's open this up a little bit. And let's put the percentage to BPO. All right, so like this one here. We'll just do this one at 45%. Okay. This one's in Chapmansboro, Tennessee, in Cheatham County. The unpaid legal balance is 137. Okay. We go over here to the value. They give this a value, a 120-day marketing of 301. Okay. Based on the interior inspection, the property appears in average condition. The subject is a manufactured mobile home. Okay. So the search for comparables expended at 20 miles. Wow. So that's a lot. That one doesn't have good comparables. So the 301 value is kind of BS, I would say. All right. But let's just say it isn't BS. Let's say it actually had comps at 301. Well, if they only owe 137, you're not going to go bid off of 65. There's no reason for them to accept that. Okay. And this one, it would make sense to bid at 80 cents of the dollar of the legal balance, because you need to leave some room there. If it doesn't sell, or if it does sell at auction, you still make some profit on it. All right. So your bid at 80 cents of the dollar, since there is a ton of equity on this one, your bid might be 110. It might be 100 because it is a mobile home. Let's take a look at this Chapmansboro, Tennessee. Let's go back to the map and just see what it looks like, because it looks like it's probably out in the middle of nowhere. All right, Tennessee. It's taken into Tennessee. Prettiest place. There it is. Chapmansboro. It's outside of Clarksville. Let's take our little Google guy. Can we go there? Yep, we can drop him there. It's also part of a small rural area. That's it. So it's on a couple acres. Look at the rose bushes. Is that fruit trees? Yeah, that's it right there. Yeah. So it's a mobile home, but it's connected. It's got a slab. Let's go over this other side. Can we get a better view? Probably not. Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, that's a little better view. Let's do this. Let's go aerial. Let's see if we can't take it in there. This is as close as it'll take us. Okay. West Chatham Elementary. So you're near the school there. It's Children's Learning Center. Yeah, so you're on this basically probably an acre or two. Okay. So does that answer your question for you, Thomas, about what kind of rough bidding on that? Good morning, John. Good morning, Sinita. I wanted to open this up to you guys that might be interested in some of these that we could actually dive in individually, give you some potential guidance. Like I said, for those that missed it, I made an offer in all the Texas ones, the one in West Palm Beach, and then a couple other places as well too, to get a rough idea on what they're looking for, because they wouldn't give me a clear specific price guidelines. Like, oh, we want a percentage off of BPO. Okay, so that means they're probably not going to go less than 70 cents on the BPO, if that makes sense. Now that number, like I said, my goal is to win bids, and then if I need to fade the bid based on condition of property and other things, then I'll fade my bid. All right. So I make an offer at 70% roughly of the value, or 80% of the legal balance when the legal balance is below. Because here's the thing. When I bid off the legal balance and there's equity above the legal balance, my goal is to make profit selling at the auction. Knowing that if it doesn't sell at the auction, guess what? I stepped into more profit by now being able to take the property back, fix it up, and sell it as a full REO. Of course, you obviously got to double check your values. Now, this one lists this at 301. I think the comps on that are way off. All right. because the comps are outside 20 miles because it's such a smaller area of Tennessee. That's what you run into. So who knows? This is one kind of a bit of conundrum. I mean, it's a mobile home, single wide, and probably an acre. So questions, assets you want me to dive into, take a look at for you. So to get a bit of an idea, let's pull up the full tape here. All right. So what I did is I put this column in here, the percentage to BPO, just so you know the loan balance, loan balance to the value. So if it's upside down, that was the first thing I want to do. So if we custom resort these, let me move this up here. I gotta get my, all right, custom sort. And let's just do a percentage of BPO. All right, lowest to smallest. Smallest to largest. Okay. All right, so yeah, there we go. One of Chapmansboro, Tennessee is the lowest one. But let's start rolling down here. So let's look at this one in Houston, Texas. Okay. They owe 100. Okay. That's what their legal balance is, 100. Let's make this simple. 51%. All right, so there's a lot of equity on this one, 51% in Texas. So if their legal balance is 81, if I made an offer at 80 cents on the dollar, 80 times 80 is 64,000. I think I would do pretty good because I would either A, sell it at the auction and make my 16 grand, which is okay in 90 days in Texas. And if it isn't, then I obviously step into a bit of equity because now stable market, it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a BPO value of 160. Okay. Well, let's go take a look at this one. Let me look back here. Okay, let's go back here. All right, it's this address. Okay, and let's drop our little guy here and let's take a look at what this one looks like. Okay. It's not that one, it's this one. There it is. That's the one in Houston we're just looking at. So looking at this, I mean, this photo is from June of 2022. So it's 3 years old. Okay. So you'd still definitely want to play, but it's the neighborhood's nice. I mean, it's not the greatest of neighborhoods, smaller little property there, but stuff moves in this neck of the woods. Okay. But obviously it's going to need some paint and carpet. All right. But the whole point of this is, would this probably sell at auction? Yes or no? I would say this would sell at auction. So making an offer at 80% of the legal balance on this one is, since it's a fast foreclosure in Texas, even though legal's not started, one of the things you would double check, see if it's gone through probate, talk to the attorney and see if you can be able to foreclose on this, start it off with. But even that, if you borrowed, let's go back here to our spreadsheet. All right, so if you borrowed, they owe the balance, legal balance is 100. So you make an offer at 80. 80 cents a dollar, 80, it's basically right at 20 grand. Okay. If you borrow 80, what kind of interest rate would you borrow money at? Anybody want to throw out their, what they get an investor that'd pay what? Let's say just 12% for $80,000. Okay. So let's do that. So if we take 80,000, actually, I'll just do it right here. 80,000. And we'll just say 12%. That means your annual costs on this thing are going to be 9,600, right? That's annual money cost. Now, if you did this in 6 months, that number would be half, right? All right. So if you're selling it, if it sells at auction, back here at 100, and that's without a couple more months on there. Okay. So it sells at auction for 100. We'll just say 101. That's the legal balance. It's worth 160. All right. So then you're borrowing basically 80,000 plus your money costs. Just say 6 months. You're into it for 84.8. You sell it at that and all your costs, that's 16,200 bucks. Is that a pretty good deal for 6 months? It's not bad. Your investor made 12% of their money. You might have another couple grand in there. Let's just say, let's just throw another thing in there. Let's just say you have 85,000 because you need 5 grand. You borrow an extra 5 grand to cover any other costs along the way. Foreclosure costs. You're not going to make as much. You're only make 10 grand, but you're probably not going to use that extra 5 grand. It's not going to, it shouldn't cost you 5 grand for foreclosure costs, stuff like that in Texas because it's so fast. If in that way you still have a little bit of profit on what you don't use, but still 10 grand, 900. It's kind of a skinny deal a little bit, but still, if you don't, and now you're into it for 85, you take it back. Now you fix it up for, let's talk about that. So 160 as it sits. Okay. Let's say you get 90 cents on the dollar, 90% of selling it as an REF because you have 10% loss in closing costs and commissions, right? So let's just do that 6 times 0.9. You're at 144. I don't know how much it costs it needs, but let's say 25 grand just for paint, carpet, upkeep, and smaller house. Of course, if it needs more than that, obviously, when you look at your due diligence, you would look to kind of estimate what kind of rehab does it need. Okay. So now, let's say you borrow that, let's see, 25 grand. Well, you'd be able to foreclose in 30 days. So let's just roll that in there. It's a 25 grand plus your $85,000 costs is equal to that plus that. You do it for 110 and you end up netting. That's your repair, note purchase price, and that's your basically total cost. And I'm giving it, so boom, boom, 44 minus 110. So you'd still make about $34,000 if you get in and out of a budget repair like that. Paint carpet. Now, I don't know what the property looks like today. Maybe it's been updated. Maybe it hasn't, because that photo's about 3.5 years old. But does that make sense, everybody? Where I'm kind of going with that one? Yeah? All right, let's go back here. John, did you have one you wanted to look at? Let's do this. Hide these addresses so people can see them. All right, so let's go back here and then look at some boom, boom. Now, let's see here. There's always, let's look at the one in, now Tucson, Arizona is also kind of a faster, Arizona's kind of a faster foreclosure state. Oh, question here from somebody. You looked at the one in Houston. I looked at all the ones in Houston. Did you like it, John? Did you drive by, or did you just do the online stuff that we talked about just a second ago? I think there's some opportunity there, provided if we can get fast foreclosures through it, because it doesn't take much. Let's think of driving by. Okay, we'll drive by it later. Let me know what you think. Uh, where did I go? I was talking about the one in Arizona. There we go. Tucson, Arizona. All right. Unpaid, unlegal balance is 200. They give the BP value at 287. Okay. So one thing to keep in mind too, since they have their max, one thing that's in here that might throw in a bit of a pickle is their max claim. All right. Now I don't know what they paid for these things, but the fact that they left these in here is something that's interesting. When they show what their insurance claims are, or what they can go back to the government, that's interesting. So like on this one, their max claim is 160. That's the max they can go back for. Okay, so if you bid 160 on that, you'd be bidding at 80 cents roughly of what's owed, right? 200, just a little bit under that. 69% of the BPO value. Okay, 200. If you bid 160, you make 40 grand at a foreclosure auction roughly in 90 to 120 days. If we go back over here and look at, see, it's basically 60 days or less. 4 bedroom, 1 bath. Oh, it's a little 4-1. It's kind of a little harder sale. 287, 289. The current market is slowly improving and market times remain low. Okay. See, the nice thing is it's got all of this notes on here where they got the BPO notes from. So you can see more by it. Okay. So that's the best thing you look at, is this will kind of give you a bit of an idea on the front end side of knowing where it lasts without having to look at anything. So run your numbers based on where you'd like to look at here and go from there. All right. Sunita, did you want to look at another one? Thomas, did you want to look at another one? Dale, did you want to look at an individual asset on here or no? I know you're doing stuff in Wisconsin. Did you want to look at any ones in Wisconsin? I think there's a couple. Could be off. Let's see. Nothing in Wisconsin. Sorry. Michigan. So that's the thing I look at. My goal on these, like I said, what if we get it at our pricing on the ones in Texas, it's strictly 100% a foreclosure play. I'm going to buy it, foreclose on it, either hopefully sell it to the foreclosure auction, or I end up taking it back as an REO, and then we do some light rehab to it and go from like the one in Georgetown, Texas. I'm going to drive by that one probably tomorrow. They owe 179. It's worth roughly. So the max claim on that's 125. So I think I bid like 130 on it. 90, 120 days, 13. It's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, built in 85. See, 245. Okay. Yeah, 90, 120 days, 245. Could be a decent deal. Let's go back to the map here. Oops, what did I do here? And here it is. I mean, you see it's next, it butts up next to this commercial building. Is that an RV park? I don't know. Let's just go drop it over here. Yeah, there it is. It's just a kind of a white limestone house. All right, and this photo is from back in the day. It's a relatively new photo. Yeah, see, this is March of last year. Okay. Probably doesn't need a lot of upkeep, doesn't need a lot paint, carpet, maybe new appliances. Okay. All right, let's go here. See what your questions are. Sunita says, Scott, just a quick comment. I use your AI clone on Delphi for my questions. So helpful. Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Definitely. Good to hear that. Okay. So Dale wants to look at the one in Minnesota. Now, Minnesota is a bit of the tricky one because of the fact you've got to go through the foreclosure process. Then you've got your 6-month to 12-month redemption period. You know, it's what is it, 6 months if they're deceased? Can you show that right, Dale, or is it still a full year? I can always get that off. Minnesota. Eden Prairie is where the Minnesota Vikings have their training facility, if I remember correctly, right? So legal balance is 300. They owe close to 92% of BPO. Their max bid, their max coverage is 232. Okay. 232 on a 300. So that still could be a pretty good. Let's look at it. Boom. Oh, you can see there it is. These duplexes kind of looks like it, huh? Let's go back to the spreadsheet. Does it give us the property? All right, so this is 1340. It's a 3-3. Okay. And due to limited sales and listed comps that are comparables to the subject spent beyond normal distance to find similar communities that offer similar amenities, it was necessary to exceed age sale date. But all right. Oh, that's good. So Dale said I had a local attorney tell me you could push a HECM to a 5-week foreclosure, but that's just what he told me. It's not contested, but maybe because legal has not started on these, that would be different. Yeah, I think you got to go through. I think you got to expect. I think you got to talk to a different attorney to handle this, or talk to the existing attorney if they've got somebody here. I can't remember if they've got any on here, and I know they hadn't started the foreclosure process, but it doesn't mean it may not be. It may make sense to talk to somebody locally on that, but that'd be great. 5-week foreclosure. Do you have a redemption period? That's the thing. It's always curious about that because the 1-year redemption period for most mortgages, if that would go away or not. So, that's something to think about. Okay. But anyway, guys and gals, so that's what I would do. Taking a look at these, those that have equity, you're probably going to need to come in, at 80 cents on the dollar, or look at the max claim amount and know that's really probably where you got to guide it from. That's what this is what the Dale also, did you see somewhere on the tape legal had not started? Is that what the seller told? That's what the seller told me, that they had bought these and not started the foreclosure process yet. Literally, I guess they just closed on these recently in the last 2 months, and then we're looking to offload them. So, like I said, it could be a pretty quick opportunity for some of these in faster foreclosure states. Okay. So John asked a question, can you expand on the max claim amount? Yeah. So let's go over here to this column here. Let's do this. Let's take this out. So when you look at these, since it's these are HUD foreclosures, HUD insures them in case of something happens, right? So there you go. Column AF here, it tells you the max claim amount of what the bank or lender can go back to HUD for. So one thing, like when we've bought from reverse mortgages, foreclosed and sold them, we had to report back to the seller of the note to us what happened, what was the outcome, and what did we sell it for? And they have to report that back to HUD for tracking on these things. Okay, but so if you buy this, if they foreclose, the max they claim they could back would be like the 232. How much they could go back to HUD to get it on that. So that might be something to think about buying the note from them. Might be something you can claim backwards, even if you don't get the full amount back. So I've never tried to go to HUD and claim on that. I was like, well, let me just go ahead and foreclose. I'm not worried about getting HUD insurance on something because I'm going to get more at the auction for the most part. So something to take a look at. All right. Anyway, guys, but that's the map. If you're interested in these types of deals and you're watching this replay later or listening to the show, please, like I said, take advantage of what we offer up with our monthly membership. Yeah, there is a lot of information. Dale says, okay, thanks God, I like the tape from the seller. A lot of info on it. Yeah. And that's great. We literally upload the tapes to our Basecamp group, which is an online message board for our students to have access to this. We want you to make offers. You make your offers directly through me. If you're a one-on-one coaching student, you'd have that direct source directly because we would give you the direct source and you would have to go through me on that. But since you're not a one-on-one coaching student, you guys have to go through me on these bids and go from there. But That's something to think about. So for $97 a month, our WCN membership is the biggest bang for the buck. We provide tapes. Nobody else goes through the tapes like we do, especially nobody's breaking down these tapes. I hear there's a lot of dry spells out there. Folks aren't finding assets because I'm getting phone calls from people. Hey, can I buy assets? Or my one-on-one coaching students that are posting deals are getting phone calls from people that run platforms. Hey, would you list your note on our platform? So love to have you. Want to say thank you guys for being on here. If you'd like to find more about our one-on-one coaching, we're here to make uh, give you the biggest bang for the buck and get your money back on that. Feel free to reach out to me at talkwithscottcarson.com. Shoot me an email. We want you to close deals. That's what we're here for. That's why you've got me in your corner when you're a one-on-one coaching student. You're my note family, and we want to help you accelerate your learning curve and your profit margin ASAP. And we've still got a couple spots left available. We only work with about 3 to 4 people at a time. So I've got 2 spots available right now for folks to get signed up before the end of the year. But otherwise, guys, stay tuned. Thanks for commenting, asking questions. I really appreciate that. If you have any other questions, like I said, email me at scott@weclosenotes.com or book a phone call on my schedule at talkwithscottcarson.com. So go out, take some action, everybody, and we'll see you at the top. Bye. Oh, if you're in the WCN crew, guys, when I do have my bids accepted or countered, I will repost those numbers into Basecamp so you guys can see where pricing came in at. Okay. And we'll go from there. So.